Okay, and using a 21 impact, 21 socket for this works pretty good. Just use an impact and it comes out pretty easily. And you probably will have to use a hammer to persuade that out, but just bonk on there and wiggle this a bit and should be able to pull it out. The next thing we're gonna try to remove is the steering rack. And so first we need to unplug it. And I'm going to plug, here's a steering rack. I'm gonna unplug these two plugs here. There's two plugs here, a third plug there. And then I'm also going to unplug the diff lock, front diff lock, because that goes with the same wiring harness. So I'm gonna unplug that, and that. And then before I do that, I'm gonna take off this little cable holder thingy. You can use a trim tool and just pop that out. So they finally got the front diff lock connector disconnected. And I broke the little red tab here, but there's a little red tab there that you can like push back and then just like wiggle this out. So put it back there. Right, so it's hard to see. You can't even see on mine because I broke it off, but that little red tab, you're gonna pop that back a bit. You'll feel it. It doesn't move much, but you pop it back a little bit. And then I just used I used a screwdriver here, and then against that screwdriver, like my little trim tool to push up against it, and I was able to like kind of slowly work it that way. And I've never popped it off before, so it was in there pretty good. But using those two screwdrivers and having that red tab popped, I was able to push it back, and you can see what's kind of going on. Right, there's that little tab right there, and then this somehow is on there. But yeah, you pull that red tab back and it will feel like it's not going, but just kind of work it back using just work it back somehow. I use two screwdrivers. That worked for me. Not quite sure I popped this connector off. So this one was in there. That's interesting, this little white thingy. But anyways, yeah, that was in there. And I don't know, I kind of cleaned around it and coaxed it out. So I had a little pick and just kind of like went around, kind of just prodded it. Didn't really give, but at least I went around and kind of like loosened it up. And then just did the screwdriver trick, just kind of like slowly started nudging it this way, and finally it just gave. So just applied some pressure like that, kept pushing it, and finally pushed out. Wish I actually knew how these things work, but if this gives you any ideas, this is what this connector is doing. Maybe when I pull out the rack, I'll take a closer look at how this connector works. These plugs are weird. So I just kind of, again, just trying to coax it out. I have this angled screwdriver. I think it's like a trim tool thing, but anyways, I got in this corner here and I was able to kind of just pry it back and boom, just kind of popped off. So I don't know, doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to these things. All right, so I got this last one out. So this one, you push this in, and you can actually I was almost able to take this whole white clip thing here out, but anyways, You push this in, pull it out, and then you might, again, the plug's probably not really good, so you'll still have to work it. Use a screwdriver and kind of pry on the corners, but you should be able to slowly work it back. Again, it's all about like coaxing it out, just working around the edge, and then just prying it little by little. Eventually you'll feel it give and you can pop it out. I think actually this one too, besides coaxing, going around and coaxing it out, I had to just kind of grab it and like work it out. But yeah, get a better idea here what's going on. See that little guy right there? You can push in with like a pin type of deal, and then pull it back, and then once it gets all the way back, pry around the edges and coax it out. All right, with all these, with these three plugs off this, these three plugs on the steering rack disconnected, and this plug on the front diff lock disconnected, I'm just gonna remove the holders, disconnect the holders so that this can come out without having the wires, the cable attached to it. So I took a trim tool, popped this one out. I have to do the same for this one. Well, should I take this one? Oh, wait, this one just, there we go. And I'll probably take this one off. It looks like it's gotta take a trim tool, and I'll pop that out. Okay, so this thing, this connector that hangs up here, I decided to disconnect so I wouldn't have anything in the way when I drop the steering rack. So there's a little red tab that you can pull back. So I pulled it back, I pulled these apart, and I think, yeah, I think I broke this connector, which I'm not too worried about, because I think it still sticks together pretty good. But yeah, be careful taking this guy apart. Not sure how to do it again. There's like this red tab that is on the floor now, but I pulled it back, and that might not be enough, or maybe it is enough, but be careful when you're pulling it apart. Maybe do a little bit more coaxing, working around, prying. All right, we're gonna remove some of the support bolts for the steering rack. We're looking at the front of the truck. So we're gonna take out these two, which are 21 millimeters, and you have two in the back. So you have that one and that one there, and those are 18. So I'm going to loosen, if not remove those. So this shop has offset sockets, which really helps getting into places where a impact gun won't reach directly. But here I'm able to reach at an angle using this angle socket. So if you have any of these to your disposal, keep them in mind. They're really handy. All right, so we removed the bolt, started lowering this. But I need to separate this still, so I'm working on that. And to disconnect it from the steering rack and the steering shaft, remove that bolt right there. That has a little reddish paint on it. The bolt that goes to the clamp for the steering shaft is an 11 millimeter. To get that 11 millimeter bolt out of the steering shaft clamp, I used this angle socket adapter, but it's pretty nice. It allows you to get in there, and that combined with the long extension made pretty easy work of removing that clamp bolt. All right, there's the steering rack right there. After we loosened the bolt that was over here, I went to the steering shaft. We had to still kind of knock it loose to totally disconnect the steering shaft from the steering rack. So you might need to have to pry / bang on a pry bar to kind of like loosen it up and force it to separate after it's just being held by friction. So force it to separate. And then when you have all the bolts removed, it should just drop freely. And then you kind of will have to fish it out, but it should just drop out at that point.